if you're anything like me and have got too many brushes, too much paint. And in this video I'm using 3 brushes and 3 colours to produce a watercolour landscape painting. So I'm starting with a pencil drawing. Now I'm using cold pressed paper from Winsor & Newton. This is a fenland scene. The fen's been in an area in the UK in East Anglia, which is very low level, about sea level, and used to be full of marshes and was often submerged in water, making it a very difficult landscape to live and to work in. This painting references Wicken Fen, which is part of a conservation charity called the National Trust. And it's one of the last remaining natural areas of fenland that are left in the UK. You can see that I'm sketching up a small number of conic ponies here in the foreground. The conics are used to conserve the fen. They're used to graze the land, keep the grasses down to a minimal amount of growth, but they have minimal impact. They don't churn up the soil. They compress seeds and all sorts into the ground, and that helps for regrowth. So I'm starting here with the sky. Cobalt blue, lemon yellow, a tiny amount of alizarin crimson gives me that warmth in the clouds and in the shadows. And then a mix of lemon yellow and cobalt gives me that light wash of green. Once that's dry, I can then use more concentrated levels of paint to put in these background trees. Using the middle-sized brush, a number 4 brown brush, and I'm using a dry brush technique for here. I don't want these trees to stand out too much at this point. Now that they're dry, and with the middle section there painted in that ochre colour, I can now begin to detail up the foreground. So I'm starting with another layer of green using the lemon yellow and the cobalt blue to work my way around the horses. And now I can start to detail up some of these trees that are closer to us in the middle ground. I'm using my small detailer brush here to give the effect of this dried out, almost reed-like grasses. Just breaks up the monotony of the greens in the trees in the background and the greens at the foreground. I don't need too much detail at this point. These are so far in the background that I just want to give the impression of what's there. Just a little bit of texture. So now I can move on to the foreground grass. I'm starting with a stronger tone of green. And using that detailer brush, I'm putting some dots and dashes in here just to break up that initial wash of colour. Working my way across the painting. You'll see later on that I'll put a glaze over the top of this, but this helps to give me that texture underneath. And now I'm going to put the first washes on the ponies. This is a very light mix of alizarin crimson with a little bit of lemon yellow. Just takes away the whiteness of the paper. And I'm dropping in some darker tones there on the underside, the shadow areas of each pony, whilst it's still wet. I keep building this up until I'm happy with how they look. With those first layers dried, I can then start to detail it even more using the detailer brush, going for a very dark grey tone here. Again, just mixing up the three colours. And now it starts to balance out and I can judge where I need to adjust these ponies. Mixed up a brown, dropping this in to give the pony some shape. And then just blending that in with a damp brush. Increasing the shadow underneath so they are actually standing on something, not just hovering on the grass. As you can see here, I'm now going over the top with a glaze, really enhancing that colour of the grass with lemon yellow and a little bit of cobalt. And you can see those original layers are now showing through. Back in with the detailer, we'll just start to tidy this up now with those original layers all now dried. Just put in lots of little marks to show how rough the grass is. I don't want it to look too neat and tidy. After all, it's not a manicured lawn, it is a wild grass field. Lots of marks. Just building this up. And then just finishing off with some extra shadows in the background there to tie it all in. And here's the finished painting. I hope you've enjoyed that. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. Until next time, take care.